Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Divine Soul Sorcerer in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod made by IncogneatoBurrito, part of the Book of Sorcerers, which adds 4 different subclasses to the game based on D&D 5th edition subclasses. Now, I honestly think that the Divine Soul is actually one of the most powerful subclasses for the Sorcerer. Shadow Magic, Draconic, Storm, they're all great, but Divine Soul fixes one of the problems that the Sorcerer has, in that it has a much greater spell list. So you don't have to get locked down by only taking 2 spells at level 1 and then 1 spell later on. You get to actually take spells from the cleric spell list, and this includes some very powerful spells like Planar Ally, as well as Spirit Guardians. So for this build, we'll be taking Mage Hand. You can throw water bottles with this or healing potions to give yourselves extra heals, or set up cold or lightning damage to deal double damage. If you're the face of the party, take Friends. Otherwise, take like Firebolt. I like Bone Chill to stop targets from receiving healing. This is useful in a few fights in the game, and Shocking Grasp so that targets do not have a reaction against you if you want to run away. Now, for the spells we take in level 1, I'd recommend grabbing Shield to increase armor class by 5, giving us great survivability. And we'll also take the Magic Missile spell here, which allows us to get some guaranteed damage. We get to take a cantrip here now. Toll the Dead can be fun. Sacred Flame can also be okay. Guidance is probably the best one here if you don't have someone else with guidance. But let's say you have a cleric. You could also throw Resistance on here, and Produce Flame is an underrated one because it lasts until long rest, and it gives you light in a 9-meter radius, so you can proc a lot of extra gear off of Produce Flame. This is actually a very underrated spell. If you don't like Sacred Flame, it's a dex save, very hard to hit in the early game. I'd recommend grabbing for our level 1 spell Command. This is a fantastic spell at level 1. And alternative choices are things like Create Water, which allows us to double our cold and lightning damage, again, similar to the water bottle. We also get to add in a Divine Affinity. The Law will give us Bless, which is a fantastic spell. Cure Wounds can be okay in a pinch. My recommendation is taking the Bless from Law. Now, I would recommend going with, if you got the Hag's Hair, take 17 and boost up to 18 using this. We can go with 16 Constitution, or we can put those points into our Dexterity there. I prefer to go with 16 Dex, 14 Constitution, but you can swap the Dex and Constitution if you prefer. And at level 2, we get our Meta Magics. Now, this allows us to take Distance Spell, increasing our spell's range by 50%, and Twin Spell, allowing us to cast it 2 targets at a time. Now we'll take Command, and what's nice is every time we grab a Sorcerer spell, we get, or every second level, we get a Cleric spell as well. We'll also grab Thunderwave, guaranteed push, or if you get a pushback from this, can be a guaranteed knockout at times. Chromatic Orb's nice too if you want to provide a bit of extra damage coverage, but I think that Thunderwave is more advantageous to us in a lot of situations. Level 3, Quicken Spell. Need I say any more? Getting the ability to cast spells as a bonus action is fantastic. We also get access to spells like Hold Person and Scorching Ray. And what's funny is you can actually take Hold Person from this here if you want to be the most powerful level 3. Getting Hold Person as a guaranteed critical hit into Scorching Ray for the crits is really nice. However, Spiritual Weapon is also a pretty good spell. Some people don't like it. Use them all and summon it in the enemy's back lines. And what it does is it has a dazing attack, which will then make it so you can land Command and Hold Person a lot easier. So it's really good. You just have to position it away. Even if it doesn't hit anybody, if it ate 2 attacks, it's worth the spell slot. Sanctuary is another good spell, and you could take Hold Person here, but I'm going to go with Spiritual Weapon. Again, if you don't like it, you can take another spell. Level 4 gives us access to some more cantrips. I guess you can take Guidance here. And our cantrip that we've taken from the Sorcerer will be Firebolt to explode some stuff. We'll then get access to Hold Person. Mirror Image is also nice, and Misty Step. So what we could do is, if you don't want any of these other spells, although I do recommend taking Aid, you can just go ahead here and grab the Hold Person from this spell list instead. And this will free it up because it's going to use Charisma either way. And then you can take Misty Step or Mirror Image. If you have Mistress spells installed, there's a lot of great options too. I'm just not going to cover them. Level 4 gives us our first feat. If you have the Hag's Hair, you can take even the Actor feat to +1 it, and then this will take it up to, or if you went with 17, you can use this to take it up. We can also use the ability score to boost up our Charisma even further. I think Alert works best, though. We want to go first, always in combat. The Sorcerer, especially with a Cleric spell list, is very, very powerful in combat, because we can use Spirit Guardians to debuff everybody. Now, we got ourselves our choice in spells here. Now, Lightning Bolt and Counterspell are 2 really good ones. Depends if you want to be more defensive or offensive. Haste is great too because you can twin it to another target. I'm also going to grab Glyph of Warding or Mass Healing Word. Glyph of Warding is nice because this can put enemies to sleep. If you're a half-elf, drop it at your feet if you're surrounded. It'll put everyone to sleep and won't affect you. I also forgot to mention, we have the Favor of the Gods ability here, which gives us a 2d4 bonus to our saving throws, which is really good. And our level 6 subclass ability is Empowered Healing. When you are a creature within 1.5 meters, you cast a spell that restores health, increase the amount healed by twice the spell's level. This uses your sorcery points, but it's really powerful because, yeah, you can give yourself a bunch of extra heals. And for our next level spell, either Fireball, Lightning Bolt, or Haste, I personally like Lightning Bolt, straight line, huge damage. And then we'll also grab our mass healing word here. I forgot, Spirit Guardians. We're going to want to have Spirit Guardians up. This is a very powerful spell. I should have grabbed this Overglyph of Warding. Spirit Guardians is ridiculous. You want this up because this will debuff the enemies. And if you got specific gear, you can apply a ton of debuffs to the enemies as well, which is great for protecting the team. If you have a cleric or not, it's a good thing to have. Level 7, another little asterisk I want to make. Spirit Guardians can only apply once per turn. So if you have a cleric as well, and they have Spirit Guardians up, only one of you will be able to deal damage. So just keep that in mind. We'll also get access to level 4 spells here, level 7. So Ice Storm, huge, really good crowd control without any concentration because you can set up ice surfaces. Guardian of Faith is kind of an underrated spell. If you put it in a doorway, it can hit enemies and deal a decent bit of damage and just soak up hits for your team. Level 8, we can take Confusion, or we can go back and take Fireball or even Haste. We do have a lot of concentration, so sometimes Haste falls to the wayside here. We also then get access to, I guess we can take the Mass Healing Word or Revivify. And for the feat, we can go with an increase to our Charisma. Another choice, moderately armored, can give ourselves an additional proficiency with medium armor, which is really good because this lets us use some of the best armor in the game. Although we can take that later on, or you can go with a dip later on too. If you wanted to add in like the Tempest Cleric to get heavy armor, the Luminous Armor is the one I'm talking about. Level 9 gives us our Cone of Cold, very powerful spell. And then you can take Flame Strike if you really want to. I wouldn't recommend it. Insect Plague is an okay concentration for a difficult terrain. There's some times where that would be a better choice than using the Flame Strike attack. And level 10, we're getting a lot of cantrips here. Sacred Flame, really your choice. It doesn't really matter. It will be taking Hold Monster here for this leveled spell. You can take Flame Strike. Contagion's actually a cool one because you can cast this outside of combat and make an enemy vulnerable to all damage, which is really good. We'll take Careful Spell and call it as that. We get a lot of spells, as mentioned. It fixes the biggest problem with the Sorcerer. Level 11 gives us a subclass feature, Otherworldly Wings Flight, which lets us fly, which is really good. We then get level 6 spells, Chain Lightning, enough said. Globe of Invulnerability, really good too. And we get Planar Ally, Hero's Feast, Create Undead, Heal. So many good spells, it's actually ridiculous. And level 12, we can take one last spell from each, Globe of Invulnerability and Hero's Feast, really good for buffing up the overall health of your team. And then we can take for our feat, as mentioned, the Moderately Armored will give us an extra point. You could have taken the Dexterity up a bit higher and put it even further with this, but it won't increase our armor class, just Initiative. This will give us medium armor proficiency. You don't have to take that though if you don't want to. It's good to get that proficiency somehow because the best armor in the game for this set type of build is a medium armor. Now you can stop at level 12, but I'm going to go to level 20 here to show off all the abilities that you do get. You just keep taking the same spells. Sunbeam's kind of fun for the radiant damage. And then you can add in something like, I didn't take Aid previously, which is a really good spell because Aid can give you plus Hero's Feast if you got the Staff of Spell Power and Mark of Heshker, 2 free casts from that. We now get Favor to the God twice per short rest at level 14, pretty nice. And we further keep collecting our, we further keep getting sorcery points. We get less spells here, which is kind of nice. A little bit less spells. We can take our Haste there, and Sanctuary is a nice one as a bonus action to give ourselves some extra survivability. Level 16, we can just take really whatever at this point. For our feat, I will take the Moderately Armored, and you can also do a multi-class if you want to add in the Cleric. I just want to go all 20 levels in this class just to show off its true power, as it is really strong. There is a level 20 ability for our sorcerers if you're using this mod. It's nothing super powerful, but it's just there. Level 18 gives us our Unearthly Recovery. When you have less than half your remaining health points, restore half your maximum health points. Pretty crazy. This is a huge heal, and it's a bonus action, so we get some otherworldly recovery here. It's great. Level 19, we get to take our last feat here. Really, the spell choice is your call at this point. And if you want to lean into the health, we can take our last feat Tough, which goes 40 extra health, 2 per level. It'd be 24 at level 12. And here's the Sorceress Restoration. If you have a short rest, you get 4 expended sorcery points. And for the last spell, again, doesn't really matter. Even enhanced ability is cool. And the outfit mod is the Enchanted Threads mod by Arideyya. I also like their Celestial Threads too. Alright, now for gear. As mentioned, taking the Moderately Armored allows us to wear the Luminous Armor, which does a Radiant Shockwave. What this does when we deal Radiant damage, it creates Radiating Orbs, 2 stacks of them, in a 3-meter radius, so you can hit multiple targets with this, which is crazy because you can sometimes apply Radiating Orbs to so many enemies. And then with the Luminous Gloves, when we deal Radiant damage, the target receives 2 turns of Radiating Orbs, further enhancing this. We also then have the Coruscation Ring. When we're illuminated by a light source, we inflict Radiating Orbs on the target for 2 turns, and we do 2 additional points of damage against creatures that are illuminated, and it's Radiant damage, which again procs all our extra gear. We also got the Holy Lance Helm, which whenever a target attacks us and misses, they take Radiant damage, which will proc our Radiant Explosions again. Cloak of Protection, although you could swap this out for the Deathstalker Mantle. And then I have the Boots of Stormy Clamor would be ideal here. You can even go with the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. But I think that the Boots of Stormy Clamor are great because we're going to apply conditions, which are Radiating Orbs, and then this will apply Reverberation on the enemy. So we're using a shield to Viconia's Walking Fortress. Marka Hesher is the best offensive staff in the game. Hellrider a longbow for that +3 to initiative, and we are good to go. Alright, so I started combat and they died because they were standing right beside me, and I had Spirit Guardians pre-cast. You can also cast Hero's Feast and aid ahead of combat. Now, since we have the great spell list from the Sorcerer and from the Cleric, we can drop a lot of different things. For some reason, Spirit Guardians dropped. Alright, so we can upcast Spirit Guardians as well. It's another thing, is it actually upcasts very well since we're going to be hitting enemies multiple times with it. It's actually one of the most effective to upcast, especially because you can pull things like that off. Obviously, Call the Weak is a very powerful ability, but we didn't take that target out and they got 6 stacks of Radiating Orbs. That's the beautiful thing about this build, is we can even proc them to deal even more of them, because if we go and run away from them, they have a less chance of hitting us, and that miss is going to apply more Radiating Orbs. So yeah, they miss us. They also get hit with Reverberation. They have 8 stacks and they're prone. So yeah, you can be pretty silly with Spirit Guardians. It's just a really powerful spell, as I'm sure everybody knows, but being able to add that to the Sorcerer's spell list is incredible when you factor in the thing that is Chain Lightning, which is on top of all of this, and you can just obliterate all the enemies there. Yeah, this feels unfair. We took out everything on turn 1. Yeah, it's a strong combination. And I hope they don't run towards us because they will die instantly. Good. And so I don't want combat to end quickly. We also have Contagion, which is kind of cool. You can poison a target. It'll apply a condition on them. If you use the Flesh Rod, it'll make them vulnerable to all damage. So you can actually use this. It's going to be a close range spell, unfortunately. So if I walk up, he's going to die. I'm just going to skip my turn. I want to use some of the other abilities. I don't think I'm going to end up having the ability to use this, but the Favorite of Gods, when you make an attack roll or saving throw, you can increase your roll by a 2d4. We have 2 charges of that per short rest, which is fantastic because that 2d4 is actually a lot. But the enemy doesn't want to attack us because they're afraid of our Spirit Guardians, which we could pop their head right now if we walk towards them. But we also have a lot of different spells here. That's the beauty of this, is you get access to so many. I didn't even bring out the Planar Ally, but as you saw, we didn't even need to bring that out. We also have things like the Guardian of Faith, which is a pretty fun spell you can pop down. So we'll put this here. This is kind of protecting us. You can actually stand with Spirit Guardians between your teammates, and that's great because, yeah, that happens. So yeah, if you combine this Cleric with the Sorcerer, it's obviously quite powerful. That is the Divine Soul Sorcerer from the Book of Sorcerers from IncogneatoBurrito. A fantastic mod, and I hope you enjoyed this build. Hope you have a great day. We'll catch you all in the next video, and see you next time.